On this month's episode of the Night Vision Show, we're filming on location at Threave Castle in Scotland, where we cover the Pulsar Digisight N750 and get the lowdown from one of the UK's leading retailers. We also test the Starlight Archer Generation 3 night vision monocular and pit the Pulsar X850 against the Night Master NM400 in the ultimate infrared illuminator battle. We're also going to cover security applications and how good the Spypoint Tiny W3 wildlife camera could solve the problems of security with your business. Welcome to the Night Vision Show. One of Pulsar's leading weapon sights is the Digisight N750. In this instance, I have it mounted on my unloaded airsoft assault rifle. It has a maximum detection range of a man-sized object up to 600 metres, with a recognition range of up to 150 metres. However, add on to the side of it the Night Master 800 infrared illuminator, that increases to around about 300 metres. It's a phenomenal bit of kit, and I'm going to go and speak to Paul from Scott Country a bit more in detail about what this sight can really do. Paul's joined me on the steps here to tell us about the Digisight N750. Paul, it's a brilliant, it just looks so high tech, and we're in daylight. What's that all about?
Well, this is a digital night vision rifle scope, so unlike an image intensifier, you can use it in daylight. We have to remember it's a night vision rifle scope, so it's designed to be used at night, but using it in daylight as we are just now for airsoft games or for early evening environment control, it's perfectly safe to use it, it's not going to be damaged.
And what about the setup? For instance, zeroing it with your rifle, how does that work?
It essentially works like a traditional rifle scope. You have a wheel here which you dial in all your adjustments. You have a one-shot zero system, which uses the software on board to fire a single shot, realign your reticle and set. So in theory you can set the rifle up with one shot. We always recommend going out and firing in the field at a target with a few shots to ensure that you're perfectly safe and you're perfectly aligned correctly. So yeah, very easy to set up.
And of course we always mention on the Night Vision Show about personal preference, and again, it's not the kind of thing that you just set up and it goes. You've got to set it up personally, haven't you? I mean, it's got a lot of functions here. Just run me through some of these dials on the side here.
Well, at the moment this is set up for an airsoft skirmish, so it's mounted to an airsoft rifle. You've got a built-in laser illuminator. As you said, that's good enough for up to 150 metres. Yeah. It's quite a sketchy, grainy image you get from it, so identifying things at further than 100 metres can sometimes be a bit more difficult. With something like the Night Master NM400, which is a high power infrared illuminator, you can increase that to 300 metres realistically. Yeah. Lots of features. You have a built-in illuminated reticle. So with the old 550, you had a black crosshair. Yes. Over the top of your object. Sometimes it was difficult to work out where your target stopped and the background began. With illuminated reticle, it allows you to identify where your crosshair is much better. Yeah. It's got a video out port, so you can record footage. A lot of airsoft guys like to connect them up to an MPR and download footage of skirmishes. You can shoot early evening with this through into the darkening with it as well. People using them for vermin control, ideal for that. £1,299 with a detection range of 300 metres. Capable for use in centerfire rifles, up to 6,000 joules. For the money, yeah, it takes a lot of beating. It does, yeah. And one thing, while you guys are watching this, don't be put off by the size of it. It looks heavy, but believe me, it's not. And that's a big sort of distinguishing feature about that, isn't it, Paul? Yep, it weighs less than a kilo. Obviously, we've got the Night Master mounted in the side. It contributes to a fair bit of the weight, but yeah, it's very lightweight. How would you say that this compares to something, I don't know, like the Yukon Photon? Yukon Photon, yeah, Yukon Photon's is a fantastic thing to compare it with because everyone wants the Yukon Photon. It's £400, it's fine up to 100 metres. Yeah. With a Night Master added on, you can probably eke it out to 150 metres. This will give you a proper sharp image with a high power illuminator up to 300 metres at night. Yep. You're talking equivalent Gen 2 plus money, £4,000 or £5,000 for an image intensifier weapon sight. You can get this with a Night Master for around £1,600.
it's effective. You know, we are going to be going out doing some field tests in further episodes of the show, and it'll be good to compete this against other products, I think. And it has got a good reputation. It's a very popular Digisight, and I think we're going to see a bit more from the Digisight N750. Okay, Paul, so this is the Night Master against the X850. Inbuilt IR, we're looking at here 150 metres, yeah?
Yep, we set the Fox out at 150 metres. You can see here we're using the built-in IR.
Yep.
We're switched off and ambient light where there's not much happening. So now we'll switch to the Pulsar X850.
And this is new on the market. This is in direct competition with the Nightmaster 400, yeah?
It is, yep. Both 124.95, similar performance. You'll see here we're focusing down to the spot on the X850. And if you watch closely, you'll see we saw something moving up on the right hand side. And if you watch closely nearer our dog fox, you will see our real fox appearing. Wow. Showing a bit of interest in our dummy and then trotting off.
It's pretty clear. It looks in this shot on a par with the Nightmaster 400, although there doesn't seem to be that much depth. It's still a good picture though there, isn't it?
It is, yep. It is a good picture, yeah. They are very comparable.
You look at the inbuilt IR on the Digisight. There's no comparison. It's clearly better with an add-on, isn't it?
Yeah, the built-in IR illuminator on the Digisight's very grainy and a lot of noise. So here you see we'll switch to the Night Master, and instantly you can see the results. There's
a difference there straight away. I have to admit, folks. I see that as a more clearer picture, and where I referred to as the depth, there just seems to be a little bit more over the X50. Would you agree? Or
at 150 metres it's negligible, I think.
Yeah.
The thing you got to remember here as well, this is an exported video from an MPR, so it's nowhere near as clear as you actually see through the weapon sight. On the weapon sight we could actually see the chest detail and the legs of our dummy fox, so this is a rubber fox with IR reflective eyes.
And we're back to the ambient light, but this time 200 metres, and this is the maximum distance really sensibly anyone's going to shoot a fox at night time, for example, isn't it?
Yep, this is 200 metres using the built-in IR illuminator. You can see fox is easily identifiable, again clearer through the eyepiece. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's not bad. Back to the ambient light, total difference. Yep. Yeah, it just shows.
So here's the X850 again. Now it's on a spot, so you can see around the outer ring there's a peripheral darker image. This is because the IR has been focused to a spot. Okay. You'll see here, there's a lot of glare coming off the grass and foliage in front of us. Of course, you can turn the power down of the X850 if need be.
And that overexposure is caused by the high power. That's one thing to remember.
It's the light reflecting off of the objects because we've got it high power focus. You see here we've opened it up to a spot now, from a spot to a flood.
And it's still clear, you know. I've been up that track and it is very dark there at night time.
It is absolutely, yeah. In ambient light, we could barely see the horizon of the dry stone wall. So we're back to ambient light again here. We'll swap over to the Night Master, and this is where the Night Master comes into its own. So
okay.
This is the IR built in the Digisight. Again, still a good image, but it's very grainy. You'll see there's a lot of noise and background fuzziness.
You're able, with the 400 and the X50, you're able to distinguish the outline of trees, which is a good thing, isn't it? Because you need to know what your surroundings are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can see here this is the Nightmaster 400 at 200 metres. There is the Nightmaster 800 for longer distances. So we say up to 200 metres on something like the N750 with the 400.
And both these products are ideal for vermin control, aren't they?
Yep, absolutely. You'll see we're zooming in and out using the Digisight built-in digital zoom as well here.
And it's a handy thing, folks, because these attach with a mount onto the side of the weaver rail, don't they?
Yep.
Very easily as well.
So you can align the optics perfectly. You can adjust up, down, left, right to get it perfectly aligned with your optics. The X850 has another system where you adjust a collar and then you can move the lens around to collimate and to align the lens with your optics. A little bit noisier, a little bit more difficult to do in the field, but effectively it does the same thing.
Now this is interesting. 300 metres with a Night Master. Now that's a long way off in the field there, and you're looking at there's an animal there. Is that a fox, is it? Or?
Yep, we knew the fox that we'd seen originally when we were using X850 going down the field. We know there's a path the fox takes quite often, so we just had a scan around, and with the Nightmaster 400, you'll see we picked up the fox straight away. We've got some eye shine now. At 300 metres with the 400, it's a long way off. You can clearly see the eye shine, you can clearly see the body of the fox, you can clearly see the definition of the fox. Again, the image through the eyepiece of the Digisight is much better than the recorded image.
Yeah, and another thing, folks, is that dark shadow down the middle. That is supposed to be there, isn't it? That's where it's focused in, isn't it?
Intrinsically, the LED diode of the Nightmaster. This is part of the architecture of this. You'll see there's the actual structure of the chip is reflected through the lens. You can get rid of that by backing off the focus from more of a spot to a flood.
It doesn't in any way dampen the result of the image. What's impressive about that, folks, and what you can see on the video is the lie of the land as well. You're looking at a field there with grass, and there is a small sort of dip in the field there which you're able to clearly see. There's like a line, isn't there, where the fox is and the eye shine, there's like that line.
Yep. So you'll see we'll swap to the X850 here. So again, 300 metres, the fox is still identifiable quite simply. The one thing the X850 lacks is on the spot focus, there's not as much illumination across the full spectrum of your objective lens. You can see the Digisight battery was running quite low at this point, but here's the fox running off the hill.
It's a lot narrower. The peripheral is sort of cut out there, isn't it?
You can adjust it more to a flood, but at the distance we were looking at, we needed the beam as tightly collimated as we possibly could to carry that eye as far as we needed it.
So it's been tested in the field. We've seen the fight. I can see a clear winner. What about yourself?
They're both good devices for the money. It is very, very close. But the X850, yep, it does the job perfectly fine, even out to 300 metres as we can see here. The Nightmaster, yep, does the job exactly the same. If my honest opinion was, I think the Nightmaster 400's got a bit of the edge. It's a little bit sharper, a little bit more depth of field. Yeah, that's the one I would choose.
Yep, I agree, but two equally good products at the top of the industry. There's nothing that comes close to it for the money. Yeah, I think the 400 edges it in this fight, and it was a fair fight. One of the great uses for wildlife cameras is security. In this instance, we're on a building site. It's a dangerous environment, but it's also a very expensive environment for the contractors and the people that own things like diggers and machinery and workmen's tools. I've got a Spypoint Tiny W3 camera. This is a new camera. It uses REMOS technology, which means that with this black box, I can set this camera up, walk away within 500 feet, and on my handheld screen, I can see the refresh of the images or the video that's being captured. This is particularly ideal for nighttime. In the UK, there was a big problem with diesel getting taken from tanks and machinery. These cameras come into their own when they're set up. The Tiny W3 uses black LEDs. The human eye won't be able to see the camera triggering. It records onto an SD card, an excellent tool for not only deterrence but also detection where maybe criminal gangs are taking diesel or even stealing the machinery. That saying, on building sites you also get wildlife like foxes, for example, that may come around to these sites looking for food, whether that be day or night. I'm going to run through the specs on the Tiny W3 and we'll move on to a grass area away from the noisy machinery. Wildlife Stu's going to tell me about what you're currently doing, and you've got a few ideas about using the wildlife cameras there, haven't you?
Yes, I've located a new Badger set now, so I'm going to use the Tiny 3 and the black box here because it's less than 500
feet, yeah. Well, the good thing about that for Wildlife Stu, he will actually be able to sit in his house with the black box, with the W3 located at the Badger set, and watch the footage, won't you? So, have you got? Are the Badgers new to that area then? Do you think?
Yes, I think it's in the last kind of week.
Yeah, and that's what? How far away from where you live? Is it quite close?
100 metres.
100 metres. So, you know, yes, we hear about badgers in gardens. In this instance, it's it's on farmland, and it's close enough for Stu to sit in his house in the warm and use this. The Spypoint Tiny W3 is at the top of its game. It's so adaptable with this black box REMOS technology. We've got it located, we've got it covering our site, it's secure. The camera, as you can see, is located on this fence post. Anything that comes within this detection range in front of me is going to trigger that camera, whether it be day or night. Obviously, I'm going to put my personal settings into it. I'm using lithium rechargeable battery packs supplied by Spypoint. That not only enhances the life of the battery and the usage, it also means in colder conditions, the battery life won't be as affected as much as it would be with alkaline batteries. Again, this camera and this black box comes with the typical Spypoint looking case. It's very hard, it's very durable. It has the hinge clips, but most importantly, it has the LCD screen and the simple to use function buttons. It also has the rubber seal, which means this can be used in all weather conditions, whether it be gale force winds, rain or snow. It's a phenomenal bit of kit and it's ideal for security applications. And this is the Spypoint Tiny W3. The Spypoint Tiny W3 can have up to 10 black box units synced up to it. Now, as long as each one of these is situated within 500 feet, not only does that enhance the detection range, it just gives me a better feeling of security, if you like. In this instance, you know, this is the entrance to my building site. I don't want my tools, my diesel being taken by thieves. It's a great security tool, and being able to locate this away from the main box is just another bonus. One thing I should say is these black box units can be hidden. They can be located on trees or posts or on the ground. Should the main Tiny W3 camera get stolen, everything's backed up onto these units. So where you would inform the police or for criminal reasons, not only have you still got your evidence, it's highly likely that you're going to catch the people that did it. The Tiny W3 is an excellent tool for security. It's our recommended wildlife camera for security applications. However, don't forget folks, it's not just security it's used for. This can be used on farmland, it can be used on estates, it can be used for wildlife observation in any conditions. It's an effective tool, it's an effective wildlife camera, the Spypoint Tiny W3. On last month's show we touched on new products in the market, which was the iScope adapter, which can be used with the Starlight Archer Gen 3 image intensifier night vision monocular. Here we took it to Threave Castle in Scotland, where you can see the black and green footage currently, which we recorded. We also used the Night Master 800 illuminator, which turned out to be quite effective. Obviously the 800 is quite powerful, and when used with a device such as the Archer, we did have a lot of exposure even on low settings, so we had to turn it down quite often. Image intensified devices rely on ambient light. However, you can clearly see the reflection of the castle in the water in this video. It's a good tool to have, and to be able to record footage from the image intensifier is a new feature. Image intensifier devices don't have an AV video out cable or port, so it's effective if you're watching wildlife or you're observing, or even if you're going to go shooting. Basically the iScope adapter fits onto the back of the Archer where the rubber eyepiece would go. In this footage we used it to scan across a field. In the foreground you can see cows, in the background you can see the hills and trees, the stars, and also the navigation lights from passing aircraft. It's particularly good for watching things like badgers, rabbits and foxes. Here you can see a badger scratching around on the ground, and again we used the Night Master illuminator to spot the exact location of the badger. It's available from Scott Country. That's the Starlight Archer. So that's it for this month's show. It's been a brilliant episode. We've covered some fantastic bits of kit. Of course, they can be obtained from our recommended retailer, Scott Country International. Look out for us over the Christmas break and join us on the 1st of next month for the next episode of the Night Vision Show. Thank you for watching.